So let's come down to lay on your back and have your strap handy, but we won't need it yet. And blocks, we won't need them yet either. So come just lie down. You can be how you're comfortable in terms of legs bent or straight is fine. Same thing with the arms, wherever you want them is fine. And I'll ask you to use your imagination a little bit. So you can pretend that your yoga mat was a giant ink pad. Yeah, and your body is a giant rubber stamp. And just start to notice where you sink down into the ink. So some parts of your body will press down and get pretty inky. And then other parts of your body maybe just have a little bit, like they kind of touch, but they're not sinking in. And then some parts won't touch at all. They'll be completely ink-free. And periodically we'll come back and check to see if our imprint has changed. Moment here, just a little turning of your head side to side, just kind of like you're saying no. It might feel good to take a little stretch with the arms. You can reach the arms and maybe add in something with the legs, or maybe not. And then from here, friends, let's have the left leg long on the floor and bring the right knee in towards your chest. And just give the leg a little squeeze, maybe circle it around some, whatever feels good to you here. And then we'll come into this shape with the right knee bent, rotate so that the shin comes across and you can hold the right foot with the left hand. Any hand hold anywhere on the foot is fine. If you can't reach the foot, you can use your strap. Now from here, let's take just a very gentle side to side, right, left rock, just a little shift. And notice what you notice, how it feels in the hip joint, how it feels in the kind of the larger muscles along the thigh and the right side of the tush. How it feels on the pelvis, the back of the pelvis. So we'll keep going with this side to side rock. And let's slow it down a little bit. And now every time you go towards the left, go a little straighter in the leg. Now, most of us won't go all the way straight, and that's not the point of the exercise. It's just to go a little straighter as we shift left. About a few more times. And then keep going. And now every time you go right, the knee is bent. Can you change the angle that the knee is pointing? So you might take around where it points directly to the side, or maybe it points more straight back, anywhere in between. And we're still going straighter every time you go to the left. So when you go to the right, you change the angle. When you go to the left, it'll go straighter. And it's fine if you change the angle going to the left as well. You want it. Just take a few more rounds of this little rock. And then try to remember what position you started in with the knees bent or straight and come back into that. So let's let the leg go. And just lay down again. And notice now the way that your stamp, which is your body, meets the ink pad. See if, for me, the right side sinks down, presses down a little more than the left. You might notice some other stuff happening. And let's see what happens when we change sides. So let the right leg go long, bring the left leg in, and at first, just take anything. So that might be a little stir around with the leg, maybe a little rock. Just hands kind of at the knee or the shin. And then we'll change the angle. So when you're ready, draw the shin across, hold on. It'll be left foot, right hand, or strap if you need that. And then at first, we'll just take our little side to side. Just easy little back and forth we go. Now this side already might be feeling different than the first side. Often it is. When you're ready, let's slow the movement down a little bit. And every time you rock towards the right, go a little straighter in the leg. And you're not even necessarily going for a stretch. You might feel a stretch, but it's really just to change the pattern a little bit. Let's organize the body a little differently. Yeah. And then we'll keep doing this. When you go to the right, the leg goes a little straight. And now when you go to the left, change the angle or the degree of rotation. So maybe the knee points directly out to the side. Maybe it points more just towards the back of the mat or anywhere in between, really. And you're still going towards straight every time you go right. Do feel free to change the angle a little bit of the when you go right as well, if you wish. And just a few more times here. And then when you're done, come back into whatever is your neutral, your middle. And just check it out again. Notice your stamp in the ink pad, body on the mat. And take a conscious breath. You might also notice a difference in your breathing. So we're going to take the strap now, and let's bring the strap over the right foot, sending the right leg up, and I'll recommend having the left leg long on the floor for this. You can take any handhold that you like, and for the moment, if you need a stretch for the hamstring, just take anything that could be bending and straightening the knee. You could move the leg forward and back. You could just hold the leg still if you wish. So take whatever you need there. And then let's let the movement settle and find a place. So let's say you're getting a pretty significant stretch. Back off a little bit so that you're feeling less stretch, but you can have the leg pretty straight. Now move the strap down a little bit so it's at the heel or right at the front of the heel. And wherever you are, some of you might have the leg a little further out. Some of you, it might be more straight up and down. Wherever you are, think of drawing from the heel down to the hip socket. So you can use your arms to assist. So just kind of creating a little, think of the ball dropping deeper into the socket. You're kind of plugging it in. Yeah. And then you'll back off with the arm pressure, the arm pull. And now just start to move in a little circle. And we want this to at first be pretty small circle. It's maybe the size of an orange or so. And actually even more important than the size is that we want to be really smooth in the movement. So if you're finding the circle is kind of lumpy or more like a hexagon, you can go even smaller and go even slower. Now, those of you who do feel like it's pretty smooth sailing and you want to start going bigger, like a little spiral, start to let the circles gradually become bigger and bigger. But if you start to get a lumpy circle again, then go back to a smaller one that it feels really smooth, really easy movement, really round shape. Some of you, your circle might be like the size of a basketball, and some of you it'll be giant. So it's very individual and it might be different. In a second, we're going to change something. So let's start to go smaller and smaller and smaller again until you come back to that orange size. And then we're going to reverse the direction. So start going the size of an orange the other way. And for me, as soon as I change directions, the circle, it's not so circular anymore. So you might find that. And do what you need to do. As long as it is feeling smooth and round and easy, you can gradually, like a spiral, go a little bigger, a little bigger, a little bigger. But you want to keep working in the place where the movement is smooth and easy. So once it starts to get choppy or lumpy or strange, go smaller and go slower again. Yeah. All right, and then let's everybody start to go smaller and smaller until we end up right back in the center again. And then from here, let's bend the knee, get rid of the strap, and we'll just take a twist here, bringing the right leg over to the left. And you could go any depth of twist is fine. Now, once you're in your position here, bring your attention to the right ball and socket joint and think of pressing the ball a little bit out away from the midline just to give you a little extra space. And then we'll come back to center and let's have both legs straight and come back into your ink pad and just see how it feels now. Right side versus left side, the body in general. All right, let's do the same on the left. So you'll bend up the left knee, go ahead and strap the foot. And give yourself a moment here just for any sort of leg stretching. That might be movement forward, back, bend and straighten. It might just be holding the leg still if you prefer. So just take a moment here, yogi's choice. Sometimes the hamstrings just need a little stretch. And then we'll pause and back off slightly from your stretch, even if for some of us that might be quite a bit. So wherever you are is fine. Slide the strap a little lower on the foot so it's right about at the front of the heel. And then you'll draw a line from the heel to the hip joint and you'll plug in. Use your arms to kind of plug in. And that hopefully feels pretty good, that plug in sensation. And then you'll back off a little bit with the arms and we'll start, just pick one direction and start to make your small orange circle. Smooth is key, round is key, easy. Just like the other side, if there's any lumps or hiccups along the way, keep it small or even go slower so that it can remain smooth and easy. And as long as that's the case and you want to start spiraling out a little bigger, maybe you do. And sometimes there's a fine line between where it's easy and where it's not. Stay right at the easy part instead of going beyond. And then from here, let's gradually go smaller and smaller and smaller again, eventually coming back to where you started. And we'll start very small as we reverse the directions and find that orange size circle. And as long as you can keep it smooth, easy around, just gradually go a little bigger. But again, if you need to keep it small, do so. And then those of you who did go larger, let's start to make it small again. Come very gradually back to that little orange size. And then when you land, there we are. Let's bend the knee. We'll get rid of the strap and take our twist. So that'll be the left leg that goes to the right. You choose how far you'd like to go. And once you end up there on the left side, think about the ball and socket hip joint and just press the ball a little out, away from the midline, a little bit, just to give you some space. And then when you're ready, we'll return, coming back to center. Let's release the leg. Check out your ink pad here and just see how it feels. Been on our back for a while. We're about to get up. Before we do, bend up your knees here and just bring them in towards your chest and give your body, your whole body, a little bit of a side to side circle, anything really. And whenever you're ready to come off of your back, we'll meet in the all fours position. So take your time. You could get there in one piece or take a while. Yeah. All right. Here we are. Hands and knees position. And let's take a little bit of just yogi's choice for a moment. So start to move your spine any which way. And doing this sort of movement. So any pathway really that feels okay for you. And bring your awareness to the pelvis and the ball and socket joints in the hips. So the socket is part of the pelvis here. But as you're taking whatever movement you're taking, see if you can let that pathway be really smooth and really easy in the ball and socket hip joints. And then we'll start to turn this into cat-cow. So just very gradually come back to center. And as the inhale happens, the head and the tailbone will lift. And as the exhale happens, we'll round the back into cat. And as you continue to go along like this, just keep your attention right at the hip joint. And let this forward and back kind of rolling of the pelvis be so smooth and easy in the hip joints. Just really let it glide. And then we're going to change the movement pattern a little bit. So let's round the back into cat pose and continue going back until you're in child's pose. Think of just really deepening the hip creases on the way back. You'll bend the elbows and start to shift forward as the arms will straighten again and we're back in our cat. So let's round up through child's pose and then I meant through cat and then back to child's. Bending the elbows, we'll draw forward, re-straighten the arms, and we're up in our cow. So continue this, and just like when we were doing cat-cow, notice both the hip creases in the front and your own ball and socket joints, and see if you can have it all be really smooth, easy going. And if you find that you're getting some little catches in there or something's not going so smooth, just like when we were doing those circles, maybe you go a little bit smaller. I'm just demonstrating how that might look. much smaller movement. And then from here, the next time you go back to child's pose, let's meet there with the toes tucked under on both feet. Just stay in that position, and if you're able to scooch the knees back a little bit, do so. Give the mat a little push down and forward with your hands, and let the heels draw back, the hips draw back. You can add in a little side to side to give the feet a little extra squash if that feels okay. And then if you're wobbling, let the movement settle. Let's take the hands a little further forward. And when you're ready, lift the knees, send yourself up and back. We're coming in a downward facing dog. And here too, you might want a little stretch for the hamstrings. That could include bending and straightening the knees. You could let the hips shift a little back and forth, anything at all. I'm very crackly today. I don't know if you guys heard that. But let the movement settle down, and let's separate your feet about as wide as the mat. You'll bend the knees and walk your hands back and prop yourself up just so the forearms are on the thighs. You're in this standing squat-like position. And in a second, we'll do a standing version of cat-cow. So let's take the hands on the shins just below the knees. As we inhale, we'll lengthen, straighten the legs, and move the chest forward. And as we exhale, rebend and let yourself fold. So do this a few times. Yeah. And then we're going to pause when you're in this sort of halfway chest pulling forward position. Knees can stay a little bit bent here. Now in your feet, without going anywhere, try to press the mat apart with your feet like you want to stretch. And see how that actually turns on the outer hips. Keep that and look at your feet. And we want to think of the inner arches, inner ankles, inner knees lifting. But at the same time, we don't want to overdo it. So hug it a little bit so that there's more pressure in the ball of the big toe, but don't go too far with that. On the next inhale, we'll come all the way up to stand. Lengthen the legs, lengthen the arms. Exhale, we'll bring the arms down. All right, friends. Yeah, we're gonna continue on this idea, just ball and socket joints, nice open hips. So keep your knees a little bit bent, and we'll just take any kind of movement here, Slitherasana. We do this all the time, but think about leading from the pelvis, and it's okay if the feet don't have to stay glued to the floor, they can move. Good. And the pelvis is kind of the initiator here, but still think of that smooth, easy movement in both hip joints, the ball and socket joints. Awesome. All right, let's let the movement settle here and reset yourself so the feet are not quite as wide, just about hips width distance apart. We'll stay at the back of the mat. And then to add in this request about the lat muscles, the latissimus, let's do this here. Cross the arms in front, and as we inhale, lift up. As we exhale, the arms press out and down. Pretend, like create a little resistance, like it's challenging to press them down. Exactly, and then we'll go again. So inhale, let the inhale and up be kind of easy. And on the exhale, create a little resistance to come down. Yeah, so you feel that work here on the side back. Let's take it one more time. Up. And then, oh yeah, good. We'll stay here at the back. Let the arms relax, just give them a shake out. And then take a few circles, hula hoop, asana. And then the other direction. Great. So from here, friends, let's let the movement settle and we'll move in a different way. Inhale, let's do that again. Come up through the center. On the exhale, out and down come the arms. Create resistance as you do the forward fold. All right, and then on the half lift, just let that one be easy. Bring yourself down here and we'll meet in plank pose. So walk the hands out. If anybody needs to do it on the knees or even just all fours position is completely fine as an alternative. We'll make a little adjustment in the shoulders. The tiniest amount, let the chest sink towards the floor. The shoulder blades will move close together. And then pull the chest forward, move the shoulder blades down the back, then press firmly into the floor so the shoulder blades widen. Yeah, good. Feel nice kind of core tone up. And then let's put the knees down if they were up. Come all the way down to the belly. Just stay down here. Yeah, we'll do another version of slither. Come up a little bit. This time, let it be the shoulder. So one shoulder and the other takes a little roll. Just back and forth we go. Yeah. And then we'll take a few non-traditional cobras here. So let the movement settle. Take the arms, go ahead and take them all the way forward. And then come in a little bit. The elbows will be slightly bent. The hands are a little wider than the shoulders. Now from this position, let yourself sink a little, let the elbows go wide. And then all at the same time, don't move the hands, but try to pull them towards you as the elbows draw in. And it's like you're trying to pull the hands towards you as you pull the chest forward. Now, if this is feeling pinchy or crummy at all in the lower back, take the hands even further forward and even wider. Great, it's like a little baby when they're kind of pressing up, they do this sort of thing. Yeah, you've got little ones. And then come down, take a little rest. Now, if that felt fine and you want to go higher, slide the hands a little closer to your chest. If that didn't feel so good and you need to go longer in the spine, take the arms a little further out. So you decide. Come up a little bit at first, bend the elbows, and then let's rotate the arms so the elbows turn downward. They won't get all the way there. And at the same time, pull hands towards your chest, pull chest forward as we come up. Yes, yogis. Now make sure you can turn your head easily so that it's not going into the neck. And if it is going into the neck, lower yourself a little closer to the floor. All right, you might feel the lats in here. You might feel the triceps, the backs of the arms. Let's come down, take a little rest. Rest your forehead on the hands. Bend both knees and just give the legs a little swish back and forth we go. All right, friends. While we're down here, let's stretch the left leg back, reach back and hold onto the right foot with the right hand, just a simple quad stretch. Now notice, especially if we're tight in the quads, the right knee has a tendency to wander to the side. Can you point the tip of the knee back towards the back of the mat? And at the same time, draw your navel forward so we get a stretch both directions. Now let's release the right and change to the left. So bend the left knee. Send the tip of the knee towards the back of the mat, draw the navel forward. Very good. Let's let that one go. And when you're ready, we'll press back in a downward facing dog. Take your time to get there. Now, after those back bends, it might feel nicer to have the feet wider apart. Go ahead and take them about as wide as the mat, or even a little off the mat is fine. Bend the knees slightly, press the mat forward as the hips draw back. And at the very tops of the thighs, press wide apart. In your feet, press wide apart. Hug the ankles in enough so your feet align, and then slowly go straighter in the legs, but keep the feet pressing apart, which should give you a little more space in the pelvis and the low back, as well as some foot awareness as per our request. Yeah, you guys, let's bend the knees, walk the hands back, heading to the back of the mat again. With the knees bent, you'll root down through the legs. Let's come up through the center, arms come up through the center. And then press out, create resistance on the way down. You guys look so good. And then once they're down, just let them go, shake them out. Okay, awesome. Let's grab your blocks, those of you who have them, and come to the front of the mat. You may or may not need them for the first part, but you'll want them for the second part. So here we are standing at the front of the mat, mountain pose. You can keep the feet together or apart, whatever you like. And let's do another round of this one because we can. So come up through the center. Inhale is the up. Exhale is that resistance out and down. Yeah. These muscles love to work, but they don't always get the chance. Let's go again. Up is easy. And then down, make it a little challenging. Oh. Let's take the last one up. This time, keep the challenge going as you forward fold. Oh. And then come up halfway, lengthen. Lower yourself down here, take the blocks if you need them. We'll take the right leg back, starting out in this lunge variation. Yeah, now as you're in this position on the front leg, can you draw the hip back as you move the chest forward, down through the belly. And then if you wish, you could either lighten up the hands or stretch the arms back, whatever you want to do. Just for a second, we won't be here for long. Then we'll come down, lower the back knee down to the floor, and if you need extra padding, you can either fold your mat over or put a blanket. Let's take the left foot a little wider and bring both arms inside of the leg. We'll just take a few rounds of back and forth. Your choice if you want to keep the sole of the left foot down the whole time, or some of you might enjoy when you pull back to go up onto the heel. So up to you. Also the back foot, I have my toes tucked under. You could do that or straight, whatever feels best. Yeah. We're gonna pause the next time the front knee bends. And like you had a crayon inside your navel, we're gonna draw a circle on your mat. Just take a few of these. And keep in mind that smoothness in the ball and socket joints as you're making the circle. Now let's go the other direction. One more thing down here, let's pause. Pick up the left hand, put it on the left thigh, but turn your fingers in towards the midline. And then you'll just press straight down the hand on the leg. At the same time, lift up through the belly and then put the right hand on top of the left and turn your face to kind of look down. Yeah? So my hope is that you'll feel this stretch on the front of the right side. And then see if you can keep that idea. Keep the belly lifting. Bring the torso up. Bring the arms up. And then let's do a round of this. Turn the palms open and create that resistance as the arms just go out to the side. Nice and slow, nice and slow. Gorgeous. And then they come back down, hands to the floor or to the blocks. Let's tuck the back toes under, lift the back knee. We'll move the blocks out of the way if you're on them. And just step back into your downward facing dog. You could be still, you could wobble, you could do wide feet, narrow feet, whatever you like. Nice job, guys. And then let's come to the front of the mat, feet forward any way you want to bring them there. Just the halfway lift, we'll use that to transition. And on the way down, we'll do second side. So left leg steps back, blocks or no blocks, your choice. First, just this lunge. Now on the front leg, can you draw the right hip back as you move the chest forward? Put a little more pressure down into the right heel. And if you'd like to lighten up the arms, you can. If you want to stretch them back or forward, you can. If not, just stay put and we'll be out of this one in a moment. Now go ahead, come down if you came up. Do set the back knee down and we'll widen the right foot, bringing the arms to the inside. Now here we'll take our back and forth. Inhale is forward and exhale is back. Maria, take the foot, take the arms this way and the foot that way, the front foot. Yeah, that'll give you a little more space. I think you're on the other side, that's why, but as long as you've done them both, you're okay. Yeah. All right, guys, let's pause the next time you come forward with the front knee bent and draw your circle on the floor. And see if you can maintain that smoothness through the hip, ball, and socket joints. Yeah. Go the other direction. It's my favorite anatomy topic was hip, ball, and socket joints. This is very funny. One time I had it was a pretty large class pre-COVID, and I said that, and one of my students, she's like 87, she's like, no way, that's my favorite too. It was very cute. All right, let's pause here. And then you'll take the front hand, whatever that leg is, the same hand comes to the leg, press down, and lift the belly up. The back is a little rounded here. Take the other hand on top and keep pressing down with the hands as you just try to create a little hollow through the belly. Yeah. And then from here, bring your torso upright, arms upright. Turn the palms of the hands out and let's create the resistance with the arms. Feel where you feel that. Awesome. And then down we come. Hands release down. Let's tuck the back toes under, lift the knee. Move the blocks if you're on the blocks. And then back we go to downward facing dog. And again, you decide. You could be still, you could move, you could wiggle, you could stay, whatever you want to do is fine. Yeah. All right, friends, let's meet in a forward fold. You can walk hands to feet or feet to hands, your choice. Keep a little bit in the knees, and before we come up with your feet, press wide. Keep that, hands come to the hips, move the chest forward, and let's just come up from there just to center. Oh, all right, release the arms. Let's take another hula hoop because we can. And then go the other direction. Yeah. So our next little pattern here, I'm gonna come momentarily close to the screen so they can see this a little better. This is not quite the pose, but I want you to look at what my foot is doing. So see how my foot here, it's active and it's fairly straight as opposed to this position. Yeah, do you see the difference? So here's what we won't want in the next thing, and here is what we do want in the next thing. So you can think about pulling up through the toes, and that could help you. Yeah, so let me show you what the position will be. We'll be on your blocks. I'll suggest medium height, about shoulders width apart, and then it'll look like this. So from plank, you'll step, in this case, right foot to the left block, and I'm on the pinky side of the foot, but I'm not rolling the foot. I'm right on the edge. Yeah, so you can go ahead and join me there. And if it doesn't go all the way across, that's okay. Nice. Now from this position, on the inhale, shift a little forward, lift the chest. And then on the exhale, shift a little back and lift the hips. Yes, go through that a couple more times. Now every time you come up, you can bring the inner foot towards the floor. It may or may not touch the floor, but see if you can reach towards the floor, the ball of the big toe. Yes. Maria, you okay? You look good. Nice job, friends. So we're going to pause the next time you're in the hips up position. Yeah? Stay here. It's okay if the front leg is not completely straight. Can you bring the ball of the big toe as close to the floor as you can? Don't force it, but whatever is manageable for you. At the same time, can you draw the pelvis back and the chest forward and keep breathing while you're doing that? Yeah, now yes. Are you feeling this somewhere in the right leg? Okay, just asking. All right. Now from here, some of you will transition to pigeon and some of you won't. So if pigeon is an acceptable position for you, slowly rebend the right knee and you can scooch the right foot back a little bit as we land here. You can scooch the left leg back and then just stay upright for a second. If this whole situation is like not gonna happen, you'll abort, you'll come out. And then you could either sit like so with the right leg over, or you could lay down like so with the right leg over. Those of you who are here with me, can you, it doesn't matter if the back toe is tucked or not, but can you hug the inner thighs in towards each other? Lift up through the belly. Yeah. And you might feel this a little bit in the back leg, huh? Oh, so exciting. And then from here, if you want to come forward, you don't have to, but if you want to, some of you might go on the blocks like this. That's kind of a medium version. Some of you might go on the blocks like this. Some of you might get rid of the blocks completely and just come down. Wherever you are is fine. feel free to ease into whatever you're doing. So you might start higher and maybe make it lower. You could be completely still, or you could add in a little side to side, a little shift, rock. Whatever you're doing, be kind to yourself rather than bullying your body. Now in a second, we'll start to head out. If anybody is on your back, you can just stay there under the legs and do a little windshield wiper swish. If you're in the position I am in, you can move the blocks out of the way. Hands to the floor, scooch the back leg in a little bit first, tuck the back toes under, and then just bring yourself into downward facing dog. Take a little bit of anything at all. Sometimes we just had the right leg forward. Sometimes it feels good after that to lift the right leg or bend the right knee to something to open the front of the right hip if you need that. All right, those of you who are still on your back, let's rejoin and we'll set up for our second side. So even if the pigeon doesn't work, this first part should be okay. So let's reset, hands, shoulders width apart on the blocks. And then we'll go just a quickie plank to get there. Left foot steps behind the right block here on the pinky side of the foot. And if it doesn't go all the way across, it's okay if that's the case. On the inhale, bend the knee deeper, let the chest lift. And then on the exhale, come back up. Yeah, do that a few more times. Shanna, can you put the foot, instead of all the way down, crawl it over? Yeah. Is that okay? All right. Nice job, guys. And Maria, I think your foot looks good. Does it feel okay? Does your knee feel okay?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, friends, we're gonna pause. Next time the front leg is your version of straight. A-okay if you need to adjust the arms or the leg too. Yeah, you might pull the blocks back a little bit. Yeah, see if that works. And then the inner foot, the ball of the big toe, bring it as close to the floor as you can within reason. It may or may not actually get there. Move the pelvis back, move the chest forward, try to elongate the spine. Oh yeah, those are tears of joy, aren't they? Yeah, I thought so. Oh my goodness. It's like steel cables in there. Right, send your breath wherever you're feeling this instead of pretending it's not happening. Now, if anybody needs to get out, if you're not doing the pigeon, go ahead and do that now. If pigeon is acceptable, you might walk the hands a little forward and start to lower the left leg down. Scooch the right leg back a little bit, and we'll stay in this upright shape for a little bit. You can pull the left foot back as much as you need to. Yeah. Now, Maria, bring the left knee a little more this direction and the arms a little that direction. Is that okay? Yeah. Okay. And then for everybody, can you hug the inner thighs towards each other, kind of on the diagonal, lengthen the spine forward, and then if it's acceptable to start coming down, maybe you do. That could be just a little, gradually come down. Maybe some of you don't need the blocks at all. So wherever you are is fine. Yeah. And if it feels better to add in a little bit of rock side to side, be really gentle, whatever you're doing. But a lot of times, just some sort of easy, gentle movement can help ease the situation. It also helps us remember to breathe. In a moment, we will start to move out of this one. If you're on your back, just take the leg off and do a few windshield wipers on your back. And then if you're on your front, very gradually start to come up with the arms, no blocks. You'll scooch the back leg in a little bit. We'll go into downward facing dog, and it might feel nice after that to lift the left leg or move the left leg around some. So take whatever you need, which might be a child's pose, yeah? If you need that, take it. All right, friends. Nice hip class today. Let's everybody go to child's pose if you're not there already. And then we'll reconvene coming up here, and we'll come into a seated position. I'll mirror you guys. Right shin in front of the left shin, just a Sukhasana. If you need to be sitting on something, go ahead and take that if that feels better for you. Now, the same movement pattern that we've been doing in a couple of our other poses here, we'll do here. So can you pick up your right foot with both hands? Any hand hold is fine. And then from here, let the back round as the leg goes a little straighter. And then rebend the knee and see if you can lift the chest. Do that a few more times. And it's okay if the pelvis rolls back a little. Normally I tell you not to do that, but go ahead and let it happen for this one. Yeah. Good. And feel free too, when we were laying on your back, we were changing the angles. You might try that here. So maybe take around where the leg goes a little more on the diagonal. Or maybe it goes a little bit the other way. Yeah. And then we'll add on, still continue doing your thing and changing the angles however you like. Try it this time, kind of pushing the foot into the hands and letting there be a little bit of an upper back stretch. You can just pause for a sec, and then you'll back off when you rebend and sit up. And then do it again with the leg in a slightly different position. Press the foot into the arms and find that little pull in between the shoulder blades. Yeah. Let's take it one more time. One more time. Any angle you want to go is fine. Good. Right. Let's put the right shin in front of the left shin. Back to Sukhasana. Press the hands down into the floor just a tiny bit. Lift the hips and scooch them back. And we'll land. Slide the thumbs up into your hip creases. Press down to create a little anchor as we lift. And remind yourself of that smoothness in the hip joint as we start to hinge forward. Yeah. Hands can stay here if that's enjoyable. If you want to take them out, that's another option. And then kind of like we did in the previous one, if you want to add in just a very gentle side to side, that could work. If you'd like to add in some movement with breath, try this. On the inhale, lengthen a little bit and come slightly forward in the chest. And then on the exhale, let the belly lift and let yourself fold over any amount more. Yeah, so that's with every breath. Some of you might be more upright. Some of you might be pretty far down. And if anybody maybe is at this place, you could have a block under the forehead. Support the head. Some of you saying, I'm not going to go that low. Let the breath be your guide, and as long as the breath is easy and smooth, feel free to continue onward. But if the breath starts to get choppy or weird or broken or stopped, then take that as a sign to back off. When you're ready, very gradually bring yourself back up to center. Oh, we still have another side. Let's undo the legs very gently. Just give them a little Baddha. And then there'll be side two. So your left one will be in front. Rearrange if you need to. Let's start with both hands holding the foot if you can. I should have said this, if you need your strap for this, of course you can. And then on the exhale, you'll lift and let the back round. And on the inhale, you'll sit lifting the chest and let the knee rebend. So a couple more times. We've already done this laying down. We did it on the blocks. Now here we're sitting. And you can start to add in that every time you straighten or towards straight, change the direction the leg is pointing. And then if anybody wants to add in that little pull, when the leg goes straighter, push the foot into the hands and let that stretch through the in between the shoulder blades. But then when you come down, you'll sit up straight again. Yeah. Now, for me, that feels good. If it doesn't feel good for you, just skip that part and omit the little pull. Yeah. Good, good. All right, this will be our last one. Next time you come back down, we'll release, having the left shin in the front. Let's take the same adjustment we did before. Lift the hips a smidge, come back and then down, so you're a little more tilted. Slide the thumbs up into the hip crease, and at first use this as an anchor. Press down to lift up, and then start to hinge forward if you're able. Hands could stay or they could start to come forward. You could be still, you could do that little side to side again. And if you want to add in the movement with the breath, that would be an inhale to draw forward. And on the exhale, a little extra lift through the belly as you fold over. Yeah. Now, keep doing your thing if this is feeling good. I do want to mention one thing for those of us with really tight hips. Sometimes we fold forward and we end up kind of going back like we were doing in the previous exercise. But for this one, we don't want to let the pelvis rock back. So if that's happening, I would advise sticking with the more upright and maybe just a little hinge forward. But once you start to round, if you drop back, then it won't really be that helpful. So yeah, you guys who are in the room with me, it looks fine. You guys at home, I can't see. So and you're ready to undo. Start to walk the arms back. And just like before, very gently, let's undo the legs. Give them a little jiggle with your arms. And let the arms relax and just take a few foot ankle circles, move the toes a little bit too. Yeah, crunch, crunch. Me too. All right, let's do last thing. It's kind of quick. So come on down to your back. I'm just snapping and popping all over the place. Have the right knee bent and the left leg long. And then the right foot will just press into the floor and the right half of the pelvis will lift a little. It's kind of like a almost twist, but you don't really go that far. And then relax, the hip comes back down and then plant the foot in a new spot. Maybe a little forward, maybe a little wider, anything. And just do a few of these with the right foot pressing. And every time you go, change something about where the foot is. You can also change the degree of rotation. So maybe it turns out or turns in. So the previous pose, that forward fold we took was pretty significant hip flexion. And here, at least on the right side, we're getting some hip extension. And we're gonna change sides. So let the right leg go down, left foot presses into the floor, and every time it does, just create a little lift in the left half of the pelvis. Yeah. And every time you go, the foot's in a slightly different position, which will affect the hip and the pelvis in a different way. Hey, friends, let's finish up the one that you're on. And when you're ready, let's come to lay down. Remember the position you started in. Land there for a sec. And just notice your giant ink pad and how your stamp sinks into the ink. See if that feels any different than it did in the very beginning. If you're in already your Shavasana shape, go ahead and stay. If you need to rearrange in any way to be more comfortable for Shavasana, go ahead and do that now. I'm gonna just adjust some of the lights here. As you start to settle, see if you can relax completely right around the belly, around the front of the pelvis, and both of the hip joints. Imagine the back of the pelvis and the sacrum becoming a little wider across. The whole body being moved by your breath. And breathe a little deeper. Start to create some easy movement in your body, anything at all. Eventually, bend the knees. Very gently you'll roll over to one side. And from your side, take your time, meet up in a seated position. The heart center. Thank your own body here for everything that it's able to do. And thank yourself for showing up. Namaste.